Welcome to this episode of the Aquarius Edge, a podcast for home aquarists just like you. Learn more about how to keep a thriving aquarium and discover ideas and tips to give your aquarium the edge. And now, over to our host, Arthur Preston.
We've all been there, we've done it, we've made that mistake that we regret afterwards, but that's okay, that's how we learn. And so today we're going to take a look at the 5 easiest mistakes that aquarium keepers can make. I've certainly done these, I'm sure many of you have as well, but let's go back and make sure that we cover the bases and try to avoid these as we go forward in this great hobby that we're involved in. So whether you're just getting started with your first tank or you've been doing this for many years, avoiding these common errors can save us plenty of headaches and make sure our fish stay happy and healthy. So let's talk about those mistakes. Maybe you overfed your fish or bought a species you later found out definitely didn't play well with others in the tank. I would really love to hear the stories, so share them with us on social media or drop a comment on the website at artsfishroom.co.za. You can also add it onto the YouTube channel. We will find an audio version of this podcast as well. It's a great way for us all to learn from each other, so feel free to drop a comment. Let's share those errors we've made. We've all been there, no embarrassment at all. Let's share them and learn. So let's get into it. The first thing is overstocking. Now, you and I both know that it's really easy to get carried away when we're in the pet shop. We look at all those beautiful tanks, we see the beautiful fish, and we think, well, why not? Why can't we add these to our community tank? Well, here's why not. Because when you pack too many fish into a tank, it's a recipe for trouble. Too much waste, stressed out fish, algae blooms. It's like trying to cram a party of 50 into a room made for 10. Overcrowded fish get stressed, and stress is a one-way ticket to sickness and aggression. Have you ever seen a territorial fish lose its cool? Yeah, it's not pretty and can leave quite a mess in your tank. So how do we avoid this? Well, it's really all about balance. Start by doing a little bit of homework. If you're dealing with big personalities like cichlids, you've got to make sure that they have a lot more space. So really it's about common sense and knowing what species you're wanting to keep together. Also, make sure you test your water. A good testing kit will let you know if your tank's bioload, that's the waste load from your fish, is within a healthy range. Keep your eye on the ammonia, the nitrites, the nitrates, and they will help you catch problems before they escalate. Number 2 is skipping the nitrogen cycle. It's a classic rookie mistake. We get impatient, we want to get those fish in as soon as possible. You've got your shiny new tank, you're excited, and you just want to see life in that tank now. But here's the deal, if you don't let your tank cycle, your fish are swimming into toxic conditions. The nitrogen cycle is your tank's way of breaking down harmful ammonia into less harmful nitrates. It takes about 4 to 6 weeks to establish. Yeah, it's slow, but it's worth it. And there are ways to speed it up. We're not going to get into that in this podcast. We might do another episode on that later on. So if you're new to this whole aquarium hobby thing, try a fishless cycle. You could add a little bacteria, you can test your water until the ammonia and nitrite levels hit 0. It's less risky for the fish and much kinder in the long run. And if you're impatient, you can also use a bottled bacteria starter to kick things off. But always test your water to make sure everything's balanced before introducing the fish. And if you're already cycling with fish, remember that it takes extra care. Frequent water changes and close monitoring are a must if you want to keep your fish safe during this critical stage. But let's talk about water changes. I know it's not the most exciting part of this hobby, but it's really important. Skipping water changes or doing them inconsistently leads to all sorts of issues. Nitrate buildup, pH swings, unhappy fish. So make it a habit. Maybe it's every Saturday morning, maybe it's on the weekend, maybe it's a weekday night. Who knows? Find a schedule that works for you. Change 10 to 20% of your tank water weekly, and use a good water conditioner to neutralize those chemicals in the tap water. And while you're at it, you can also gravel vacuum the substrate. It's like giving your tank a little spring clean every week. And here's a pro tip. Don't just top off the water that evaporates. When water evaporates, the minerals and the waste stay behind. So you're not really improving your tank's water quality. You're simply just adding volume. Proper water changes are essential. Now here's another mistake that catches everybody, even experienced aquarists. And that's overfeeding. It's hard not to do this, right? Your fish look so excited when you sprinkle in the food. But too much food equals too much waste, and that messes with your water quality. Feed only what your fish can eat in a few minutes, and if there's anything left, scoop it out. Don't forget variety. High quality pellets, flakes, the occasional treat like frozen bloodworms, If you can, some live food as well keeps your fish healthy and vibrant. And keep in mind the specific dietary needs of your fish. Some species are herbivores, others carnivores, and some are omnivores. Again, do your research, work out what's best for your tank's inhabitants, and adjust your feeding accordingly. And remember, a fasting day once a week can actually benefit your fish by giving their digestive systems a break. Finally, number 5, the big one. Getting into this without planning. We've all been there, buying fish that turn out to be incompatible or choosing plants that need way more light than your tank setup allows. Do your research. Look into the species you want to keep, what their tank requirements are, how they get along with others. It's worth taking the time to plan out your setup, from the type of filter to the plants you'll use. Trust me, it saves you a lot of hassle later. And while we're on the topic of research, don't overlook the importance of learning about tank maintenance. Learn how to clean your filter without destroying beneficial bacteria, or how to spot the early signs of disease. These things can make a huge difference to your success as an aquarist. Well, while we're going, let me just add one more, just because I can. Let me sneak in this bonus. Ignoring fish compatibility is a major mistake. Not all fish are going to get along, and adding the wrong mix can turn your peaceful tank into a war zone. When planning your community tank, consider the factors such as size, temperament, water parameters. For example, a betta might look stunning in your tank, but put it with the wrong tank mates and you've got a recipe for disaster. So do your homework, and when in doubt, ask for advice from experienced aquarists. So there you have it. Overstocking, skipping the nitrogen cycle, inconsistent water changes, overfeeding, diving in unprepared, and the bonus one I mentioned, ignoring compatibility. Avoiding these mistakes will go a long way in making your aquarium the thriving, peaceful oasis you want it to be. And don't stress if you make a mistake or 2 or 3. It's all part of learning. We learn, we grow, and our aquariums become better ecosystems as a result. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with somebody else. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Share it with others. Let's keep building this amazing community. So thanks for listening. Until next time, happy fish keeping.
That's it for this episode of the Aquarius Edge. Please consider subscribing to this podcast so that you don't miss further episodes. We would love it if you would also rate and review the podcast, as this helps make it visible to others. Until next time, keep learning and discovering, and keep finding your Aquarius Edge in this captivating and fascinating hobby.